When we dump our unrecyclable rubbish in a bin or a skip, it's a messy problem solved. Out of sight, out of mind. It's no longer our problem. But it is a problem for the guys running a huge landfill site near Ipswich in Suffolk.
This is the actual active tipping area.
The waste keeps coming in a never-ending convoy. Every day, there are 90 trucks wanting to dump 1,000 tonnes of waste.
We get a mix of vehicles in here. We get dust carts from the local councils, we get Arctics from transfer stations, skip lorries from transfer stations. We also get small trade vehicles. On us, Dave!
As soon as the waste is off the truck, it has to be worked on to contain it. Problem one, it takes up too much space.
Wherever the compactor is where they know where they got a tip.
Meet the compactor. 45 tonnes of heavy metal, the compactor marauds over the newly dumped junk. It breaks up the garbage and crushes it so that it takes up less space. And it creates a firm surface, good for trucks to drive on while it's a dump, and a solid foundation for when this is eventually transformed into useful land. Meet the Mad Max of Suffolk.
Ralph Brakes. I'm a plant operative. This is a Bomag 45-tonne landfill compactor.
The engine produces over 500 horsepower, but top speed through the 3-speed gearbox is just 10 miles an hour. Operation is pretty simple.
You have your steering lever, you have accelerator, you have the blade.
Instead of suspension, the body pivots to cope with the rough terrain. Its key features are the spiked metal wheels designed to crush and compact up to 1,000 tonnes of landfill waste a day. However you dress it up, a landfill site is essentially a hole in the ground. And to be useful, it has to be a big one.
This is 5 million cubic metres of airspace.
It's one of the biggest holes in the UK. It used to be a quarry, and at one time, waste would simply have been dumped into the hole. But not anymore. There's a big and potentially dangerous problem: flammable methane gas. 1 tonne of landfill could produce 500 cubic metres of gas, so they have to fix the hole.
What we do is take a section of the site, we line it, and what that does is not only protect the surrounding environment, but make the site work for us. We can draw off the gas, burn the methane in the gas to produce good renewable power. The site here is producing up to 5 megawatts of capacity of that electricity, and that's enough to provide the domestic needs of about 9,500 homes.
Although 250,000 homes feed their waste into the site. Even with the trash compacted into a giant rubber-lined hole and the flammable gas burned to make electricity, the problems of landfill are not yet over. Unless action is taken, some of the rubbish will try to escape. At a landfill near Ipswich in Suffolk, Ralph is crushing waste into a giant hole using his 45-tonne Bomag compactor. But they've got a problem. People live not far from the site. And no matter how compact the waste is, with the wind in the wrong direction, it will smell awful. What they need is a giant can of air freshener.
This is the odour suppression system. We've got an adjacent village nearby. In case there's any odours on site at all, we switch the system on and it sprays a fragrant smell into the air. That's very similar to the air fresheners that you have at home, but on a massive scale. So you can imagine that lets off a smell around the site. Can put whatever fragrance you want in there, but at the moment we got strawberry.
The waste produces not only smelly gases, but unpleasant liquids too. And if they ran off the site or percolated down into drinking water supplies, the results could be disastrous. The black membrane lining the landfill stops the liquids escaping. On top of the membrane, there is a drainage system.
What we're standing at is the drainage level, so that all the liquid that percolates down through the waste can be captured at a low point, pumped out and safely disposed of via sewage treatment works. The liquid's known as leachate. If you can imagine your black wheelie bin at home, if it's been sitting around for a week or two, the brown sludgy liquid that gathers at the bottom of it, that's what it is. A scientist who'd worked in the industry for many years once told me, if you had a pint of leachate, to give an idea of the hazardousness, if you drank it, it would make you probably queasy and a bit sick, but it wouldn't make you ill in the long term.
Do not try this at home. Notice that Dan isn't actually drinking a pint of leachate either. The systems to deal with flammable gas, smells, and unpleasant liquids don't end the problems. Even the solid waste can go walkabout, or rather, fly about. The problem is hundreds of seagulls.
They pick up large pieces of rubbish and they spread it around not just this site but also the surrounding community.
But that won't happen on this tip if Paul Morris does his job.
I'm the bird controller here and I clear the site of gulls. This is, I call her Wobbles. She's a peregrine cross with a Saker.
But Wobbles isn't just for show. Once in a while she gives the gulls a proper lesson. The gulls react to the peregrine's shape and back off. Usually the deterrent effect is enough, but sometimes she'll make a kill.
She'll do a circuit of the site. If she's caught something, then I'll have to track her down with my tracking equipment and then see where she is. It is necessary now and again for the birds to catch the birds on here so that they get into the routine of knowing that there is something dangerous on the site.
Wobbles the falcon, another soldier in the battle against crime. People of Suffolk are sending 90 truckloads or 1,000 tons of rubbish every day to be tipped and compacted into a 5 million cubic metre hole in the ground as landfill. But everyone knows this can't go on forever.
Landfill is the past, recycling is the future.
On the other side of the site, there's a different tipping operation going on. Another supersized pile of waste for someone to deal with. But this waste is going to be turned into money.
96 to 97% will be recycled from what you can see out of this.
This great pile is worthless rubbish unless it can be separated into different materials. It's mixed cans, bottles, paper and packaging, but these guys are about to sort it out with a combination of very high and very low tech. The recycling plant is like a vast machine with humans working alongside the technology, and it can only make money if it's quick.
It is a fast moving machine. We are actually hitting about 19 to 20 tonne an hour.
Once they've got rid of textiles, wood and things you shouldn't put in your recycling bin, the machines get to work. First, the trommel, a big drum that gets rid of the small stuff. Suddenly, it starts to get a bit technical.
Anything sub 45 mil will go to landfill. Anything from 180 to 180 will go on to ballistics.
Ballistics sorts out the lighter paper from the heavier packaging.
This is the main cabin, the main picking cabin.
In theory, the waste should now be separated into 3 types, but the machines aren't that good. In the picking cabin, pickers re-sort stuff that's on the wrong line. Finally, there's mixed paper, news and pamps, and 3D, which is bottles and cans.
Next process is the overhead magnets. As you can see, takes the steel cans off. Next process is the eddy currents, and that takes off the aluminium.
The biggest challenge is separating plastics into different types, and this is really high-tech.
That's all done by camera recognition.
The camera spots a particular sort of plastic bottle. Then, as it leaves the machine, a quick blast of air sends it in the right direction.
It's a clever bit of kit, really.
Here's where it all ends up, in bales of paper, aluminium, steel and plastics that someone wants to buy. Today, another 250 tons of waste has gone from wheelie bin to really valuable. Do you see what I did there?
This is the future.
But what about the future of the landfill? It's also being turned into something else.
We can restore landfills to heathland, to woodland, to farmland. You can graze animals on it, you can grow crops on it. Here we're creating habitat for local wildlife.
But it won't be handed back to Suffolk until all danger of further pollution has passed, and that could take decades.